Ariana arrived at the DeLuca mansion on a quiet morning with a single bag and a heart full of uncertainty. The gates were larger than anything she had ever imagined, tall iron bars curling like silent warnings. The mansion itself was enormous, cold, and suffocatingly elegant. Its windows were dark, its walls tall enough to hide 100 secrets. She felt small standing there, small enough to be swallowed by the silence. The butler barely looked at her as he led her inside. She was told the rules. Stay quiet, stay invisible, do your work, don't enter the restricted rooms, especially the office at the end of the West Wing. That was the only room mentioned twice. That room belonged to him. Ariana didn't know much about the family, only whispers. The DeLuca name was both respected and feared. They were powerful, untouchable, dangerous. She had taken the job because she needed the money desperately, but the moment she stepped in, she knew she had walked into another world. A world built on shadows. Her first hours passed quietly. She cleaned the grand hallway floors, dusted the endless shelves, and organized rooms that were bigger than her entire house. Her footsteps echoed, softly, and she kept her head down, but someone noticed her. She felt him before she saw him, a quiet presence behind her. She turned slowly and saw a man standing in the doorway. He wore a black suit, perfectly fitted. His face was sharp, chiseled, and unreadable. His dark eyes held a depth that made her breath catch. He carried an aura that made the room shrink around him. It was Lorenzo DeLuca, the mafia heir. The man the rest of the world spoke about in hushed tones. "You're new," he said, his voice calm but heavy. "Yes, sir," she whispered. His gaze lingered on her as if assessing her entire existence with a single look. "Don't break anything," he said after a pause. "And whatever you do, never enter my office." He walked past her, and the air loosened. She let out the breath she didn't know she was holding. She told herself that this man was too dangerous to even look at. She would avoid him at all cost, but fate didn't care about her plans. Days passed. Ariana worked tirelessly, always early, always careful. She stayed away from Lorenzo's path, but he seemed to appear everywhere, walking through the halls, talking quietly on the phone, standing on balconies late. At night, and though he never said much, she could feel his eyes on her more often than she should have. It was not anger, it was curiosity. Then one afternoon, while dusting the main study, she made a mistake. A small, fragile glass sculpture slipped from her hand and shattered across the floor. She froze. Her heart pounded painfully. Everyone had warned her. Lorenzo was merciless. People were punished for less. She heard footsteps, heavy ones. He entered the room and looked down at the shards on the floor. "What did you break?" he asked softly. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'll replace it." His eyes shifted to her trembling hands. "You won't be punished," he said. "Just be more careful." Ariana stared at him in disbelief. He turned away, but something had changed. His voice had softened. His expression had shifted. He wasn't the monster she had been warned about. Later that night, she found herself thinking of him when she shouldn't have. Thinking of the way he had looked at her, not with cruelty, but with something that felt dangerously close to humanity. A week later, a storm hit the city. The mansion trembled with the wind. The rain slapped against the windows like frantic fingers. Ariana was alone in the laundry room, trying to finish her work quickly so she could go home. The lights suddenly went out, plunging the entire mansion into darkness. Her breath quickened. She hated the dark. Memories from her childhood clouded her mind. Memories she had buried long ago. A soft voice spoke beside her. "It's just the storm." She felt a hand brush against hers. Lorenzo was standing close, closer than she had ever seen him. She could feel the heat from his body in the cold, dark room. "I didn't know you were here," she whispered. "You're trembling," he murmured. "You don't need to be afraid." Ariana didn't know if he meant the darkness or himself. For the first time, she didn't feel like running from him. Something invisible shifted between them in that moment. Something fragile, something real. But danger lived in the DeLuca world, and danger never slept. One late night, Ariana was cleaning the kitchen when the back door was forced open. Masked men rushed in, grabbing her, holding her mouth shut as she struggled. Fear stabbed through her. Gunshots echoed across the mansion. "Let her go." Lorenzo's voice thundered. The attackers fled. Lorenzo reached Ariana immediately, his hands on her shoulders. His eyes filled with something she had never seen on him, fear. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "Ariana, look at me. Talk to me." She could only shake her head, tears falling silently. He pulled her close, his hand cradling the back of her head. "You're safe now," he whispered. "I won't let anything happen to you." Those words wrapped around her heart like a promise. A dangerous promise. Days later, she found herself standing in the garden alone, trying to calm her thoughts. The moonlight was soft, the flowers swayed slowly in the wind, and she wished she could disappear from the world for a moment, but Lorenzo found her. "You've been avoiding me," he said. Ariana didn't look up. "Your world is dangerous," she said softly. "I don't belong in it." He stepped closer, stopping just inches away. "You think I don't know that?" he said. "Do you think I haven't tried to stay away from you?" His voice was low, rough, almost broken. "But I can't. I've tried, Ariana. I've failed." She finally looked at him. His expression was raw, stripped of the cold mask he always wore. "Why me?" she whispered. Lorenzo took a slow breath. "Because you see me," he said. "Not the Mafia Prince, not the monster. You see the man underneath." Her chest tightened painfully. He touched her cheek gently. She didn't pull away in that moment. Under the moonlight, a forbidden connection rooted itself between them, a connection that would only grow stronger, a connection that would put both of their lives at risk, because the DeLuca world was watching, and enemies were closing in. This was the beginning of a love neither of them were supposed to feel, the love powerful enough to save them or destroy them, the storm that had been quietly gathering around Lorenzo and Ariana's lives did not wait. It broke suddenly, violently, leaving a trail of chaos in its path. Their moments of quiet, of forbidden closeness, were shattered the night Ariana disappeared. IT began with a knock on the door, soft at first, almost polite. Ariana had been tidying the east wing, the room Lorenzo had insisted was safe. But even in this so-called sanctuary, fear gnawed at her chest. She opened the door, and two masked men pushed her into the corridor. She screamed, but the muffled sounds barely registered before they dragged her down the stairs. The familiar walls of the mansion passed too quickly, the shadows twisting like hands trying to hold her back. And then, silence. When Lorenzo discovered she was gone, the mansion erupted with alarms, shouts, and the frantic movements of his men. But Lorenzo did not shout. He did not panic. Not externally. His expression hardened, dark as a stormy sky. But inside, something primal clawed at his chest. Fear, anger, and something he refused to admit aloud. Despair. He did not wait for plans. He did not ask questions first. He moved like a shadow, faster than anyone could follow. His suit was black, his presence sharper than a blade. Every man in the mansion who had ever doubted him knew better than to stand in his path. "They took her," Matteo whispered, stepping cautiously beside him. She was gone before anyone saw anything. "Who?" Lorenzo's voice was low, dangerous. "Who dares?" Matteo shook his head. "Unknown. But they're organized. Strategic. They knew exactly what they were doing." Lorenzo's eyes narrowed. "Then we become more organized. We become faster. We become the storm they never see coming." Within the hour, Ariana was in a safe house, blindfolded, bound, her heart hammering against her ribs. Her captors spoke little, only moving her from room to room, each time whispering the same warning: "One wrong move and you die." She felt the walls closing in, her breath short, her mind racing. And through it all, she thought of him. Lorenzo, the man who had promised to protect her, the man who had whispered her name in fear and longing. The thought of him strengthened her, gave her courage, but also broke her heart, because she didn't know if he knew she was gone. Back at the mansion, Lorenzo gathered his most trusted men. Matteo, his second, in command, and a few silent, deadly soldiers. "Divide and search the city," he ordered. "Every street, every alley, every warehouse. I want her back by dawn, or by the time the sun rises over the city, everyone responsible will pay." Matteo hesitated. "Lorenzo, it could be a trap. They know you care about her. They'll use that." "I don't care," Lorenzo snapped, his voice slicing through the room. "Every trap they set, will turn it back on them. She is not a pawn. She is mine. Hours passed. Every lead turned cold. Every alley empty. Lorenzo's frustration grew, but his resolve hardened. By the early hours, he had a single clue. A warehouse on the outskirts, abandoned. Shadows crawling across the walls like dark blood as he moved alone. No guards, no distractions. Ariana's life was not a risk he was willing to share with anyone, not even Matteo. Inside the warehouse, she sat trembling, exhausted, thinking of nothing and everything at once. The muffled sounds of footsteps echoed in the distance, each one sharper than the last. Then, the silence broke. A soft creak. A shadow moved across the floor. Her heart leapt. "Lorenzo," she whispered, uncertain if hope would kill her. Faster than despair, the figure stepped into the dim light. Black suit, dark eyes, presence that made the room shrink around him. "It's me," he said softly. Tears streamed down her face as she ran toward him. He caught her in his arms, lifting her effortlessly. She pressed her face against his chest, feeling the steady heartbeat, the warmth, the promise that she was safe for now. But safety was temporary as they made their way out. Matteo's voice crackled over the comms. "Boss, multiple squads incoming." "It's a setup." Lorenzo's jaw tightened. "Then we fight. No hesitation. No mercy." And fight they did. Shadows collided in the cold night, bullets slicing the air, shouts echoing across the empty streets. But Lorenzo moved like a phantom, precise, ruthless, yet always keeping Ariana behind him, always shielding her. They escaped. But the danger did not end. Back in the mansion, Lorenzo and Ariana stood together in the dim light of the main hall. Ariana's hands shook, her face pale. But her eyes held something else, determination. She would survive this. She would stand by him. "You were incredible," Lorenzo whispered, holding her face. "Do you understand? You survived. Because you were brave. You have no idea what that means to me." "I was scared," she admitted. "But I knew you'd come. And I always will," he said, pressing his lips gently to her forehead. Days passed, and the city whispered about the sudden disappearance and return of the maid. The syndicate murmured, enemies watched, and Lorenzo's enemies began to realize that the man they thought they could manipulate had something they could never understand. Loyalty and love that made him unpredictable, dangerous in a way no one had expected. But danger always adapts. Ariana noticed the subtle changes. New men watching her, whispered conversations that stopped when she entered the room. Gifts left in her room, not from Lorenzo, but from someone else. Someone testing her, testing their bond. The tension grew unbearable. She tried to stay quiet, keep her head down. But Lorenzo noticed. Always noticed. "You feel it," he said one evening, stepping into the room without warning. The walls closing in. The whispers. "You're being tested." Ariana nodded, voice trembling. "I don't know how to handle it anymore." "You handle it by trusting me," he said. "And by trusting yourself. You are. Stronger than you know. Stronger than anyone expects." But strength came at a cost. That a rival from the syndicate, someone who had long envied Lorenzo's rise, began targeting Ariana. Small threats at first. A car parked outside. A shadow that lingered too long. A message left anonymously. Then escalations. Threats delivered directly to her room. A warning that she could not ignore. Lorenzo's response was swift. He gathered his closest allies. Strategy meetings in the dead of night. Silent reconnaissance. Threat elimination. Every time, Ariana felt the weight of it. The danger of loving him. The danger of being loved by him. And yet, through it all, their connection deepened. Quiet nights in the library. Gentle touches when no one was looking. Shared laughter that was a rebellion against the darkness surrounding them. But the climax was inevitable. The rival orchestrated an ambush during a gala at the mansion. A celebration of Lorenzo's recent victory over another syndicate faction. Ariana was supposed to stay inside, but she stepped out. Curious, brave, defiant. The ambush hit. Chaos erupted. Guests screamed. Glass shattered. Men in suits raised weapons. And in the center of it all, Lorenzo fought like a demon possessed, moving with precise brutality, each movement protecting Ariana, each glance calculating every possible outcome. Ariana ran to him. Together, they fought their way through the crowd, eventually reaching the roof terrace. Helicopters above, the city sprawled below. They were trapped, surrounded. "I can't lose you," Lorenzo whispered, holding her close. "No matter what it costs." "You won't," she replied, voice steady. "We face it together." And as dawn broke over the city, the two stood together, bruised but unbroken, a force neither the Mafia, world nor fate itself could contain. They had survived betrayal, kidnapping, and bloodshed. They had survived because they chose each other. And in the shadows, the city whispered about the impossible. The Mafia boss and his maid, united not just by circumstance, but by a love that defied every rule, every danger, every expectation. Because in a world ruled by fear, power, and secrets, they had discovered the one thing that made all else meaningless: each other. And that was only the beginning. The city was quiet that night, but beneath the calm, every shadow seemed alive, watching, waiting. Ariana and Lorenzo stood on the rooftop of the mansion, their bodies close, still bearing bruises from the night before. The air was thick with tension, but also with relief. The ambush had been devastating, but they had survived it together. For a moment, they just stood there, holding each other, listening to the distant hum of the city. The skyline was dotted with lights that looked like stars fallen onto the earth. And in that moment, for the first time in weeks, Lorenzo allowed himself to breathe, not as a Mafia boss, not as a warrior, but simply as a man who had someone worth fighting for. Ariana tilted her head up to him, brushing a wet strand of hair from her face. "We made it," she whispered, voice trembling. "We really made it." He pressed his forehead to hers. "Yes, but this world is never quiet for long." She smiled softly. "Then we'll face it together." Lorenzo's hand tightened around hers. Together. Always. The following days were a strange blend of normalcy and preparation. Lorenzo addressed the council with unmatched authority, dissolving the rivals' influence, neutralizing threats, and securing the syndicate. His men were loyal, his enemies cautious, and through it all, Ariana stayed by his side, not just as a maid, but as someone who had earned her place in his life. One evening, the city bathed in the golden light of sunset. Lorenzo led Ariana to the balcony overlooking the skyline. The streets were alive below, but above them, the world felt infinite and calm. "You know," he said softly, "when I first met you, I never imagined we'd end up here. Alive, standing on the edge of a world I thought I had to conquer alone." Ariana leaned against him, her head resting on his chest. "I never imagined loving a man like you. A man who the world fears, who I should fear but can't." He chuckled softly, a rare, warm sound that vibrated through her. "And yet, here we are, against all odds, surviving, loving." The moment was interrupted by a whisper of wind, carrying with it a faint scent of the city, of rain yet to come, of battles fought and yet to fight. But it was peaceful. For the first time, they could see the horizon beyond the darkness. Lorenzo turned to her, his eyes serious now, holding a gravity she had never seen before. "Ariana, I promised I would protect you, no matter the cost. And I will. But now, I want more than protection. I want a life with you. No shadows, no threats, just us." Ariana's heart fluttered, tears forming in her eyes. "I want that too. I want us." He smiled, a full, unguarded smile. Then he pulled a small black box from his pocket. Her breath caught. "I want to make this real. Not just the shadows and the chaos, but the life beyond it." Ariana's hands trembled as he opened the box. Inside was a simple ring, elegant, understated, but radiant in its meaning. "Will you be mine? Not as a maid, not as a pawn, but as my equal, my partner, my everything." She looked into his eyes, saw the vulnerability he never showed anyone else, felt the depth of his promise, and nodded, a single word escaping her lips. "Yes." The city seemed to hold its breath as he slid the ring onto her finger. They embraced, long and silent, letting the weight of the past weeks melt away in a single heartbeat. For the first time, the world beyond the mansion didn't feel threatening. For the first time, love had not just survived, it had triumphed. The rival factions in the city would eventually come to realize that Lorenzo De Luca was untouchable, not because of fear, but because of loyalty, strategy, and the woman who had tamed the monster in him. Ariana was no longer invisible. She was essential, a beacon of light in a world of shadows. That as night fell, the mansion's lights glimmered like stars mirroring the heavens. Lorenzo held Ariana close, whispering, "No matter what comes next, we face it together. Always." And for the first time in a long while, the storm had passed. They had survived betrayal, danger, kidnapping, and bloodshed. And now, at last, they had something worth protecting beyond life itself. Because love, in a world built on fear and power, was the greatest victory of all. And as they stood together on that rooftop, looking over a city that trembled beneath their feet, they knew one unshakable truth. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The world could try to pull them apart. Shadows could rise. Enemies could linger. But nothing could undo the bond they had forged. The mafia boss and his maid were no longer two separate lives. They were one. And that was the end of the beginning.